All of us reach a point in time where we are depleted and need to somehow find a way to reignite the fire within. But how do we spark that flame? Welcome to Reignite Resilience, where we will venture into the heart of the human spirit. We'll discuss the art of reigniting our passion and strategies to stoke our enthusiasm. And now, here are your hosts, Natalie Davis and Pamela Cass.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So here you find yourself in this season of life where absolutely everything is changing, right? Like you had your career change, the professional change, with whether in your control or outside of your control, the timing was perfect. Passing of a good friend, passing of a mentor, you're starting to do the introspective work. Tell us about the ripple effect, because when you go down that path, when you know that something is shifting within you, and it's not you are beautiful, I think, into girl, you've got this is you. What was happening around you? Because I'm sure that impacted relationships, you yourself, how you were showing up in the world. Talk to us a little bit about that journey over the last couple of years, almost a decade now, by the way.
Isn't that crazy? I know. I was looking at that the other day and I was like, I'm just a baby. What do you mean?
Just a baby.
Just a wee baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it is very interesting on how once you change that part of yourself, all of these other things that you have done or people that you have put into places within your life to anchor you into the old you. And then that starts to pop up and you start to see, so, at the time I had been in a relationship for about 7 years. And this is when I had really started going into working on me. And I was weight training. That was a huge part of the endorphins and working out. Like, it's so crazy because I always feel like Elle Woods and Laylee. Endorphins make you happy and people kill their husbands. And you're like, well, vitamin 3-minute walk really does change your life. So,
Yeah.
I started doing these affirmation things and having this change, and then having my career really, it was like a light switch. When my career started taking off, because I was in this mental place to accept, right, that I'm full of gratitude. And when you're full of gratitude, wonderful things that you're grateful for continue to happen, and they happen bigger and better every single time. So I, was in a relationship and it turned extremely abusive. Extremely abusive. Yeah. And we bought a house together. We were never married. We bought a house together. And he, purposely got fired. He refused to work. I was like doing the real estate stuff. And on top of that, I went back in to do the independent contracting for medicine. So I'm working about 180 hours a week and would come home. He's like, what's for dinner? And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? What did you say? What? So it turned to stalking. We had broken up and he had come into my office, and I was a private person. So, I wasn't really telling my office anything. And we're still trying to figure out, like, what are we doing with the house? So he came into my office, took my keys off the wall and forced me into the car, and I had to go back to the house. He killed my dog. He broke my arm in 3 places. It was horrible. It was horrible. So, I was forced out of the home due to the abuse. And when you're not married, what people don't understand is that marriage does, I'm very grateful that I never got married, but the way that you have to go through separating things now becomes so different. So it was about 18 months before we could even see a judge. And I'm living on my sister's couch, and between like my mom and my sister's couch, and driving, all across the state to get what I need done, paying the mortgage, paying the trash, paying the utility bills and all these things because, right, it's also my responsibility, paying this lawyer. He hacked into my phone and all my emails and was like literally stalking me, threatening me, just crazy things where it was like this really wasn't the person that I thought it was. But again, when you go through those eye-opening experiences and then you're kind of seeing like that's not actually good behavior, and like you're putting me down to lift you up, and I wasn't realizing that before because I was not a person, right? I wasn't the same person. I wasn't in the mindset of like my value is different. So we finally, and Natalie knows this, I had gone to Natalie for help, just for advice, because, I'm a realtor, and my lawyer was like, honey, now mind you, this was like 5 years of this going back and forth. And she was like, honey, he's never going to stop. Like, why would he, why, you have a free place to live. Like, why would you? And I mean, I offered to buy him out. I offered to have him buy me out, to get a co-signer to get off, to sell anything. And he said no. So my lawyer recommended that I do a forced foreclosure. So I stopped paying everything. I canceled all the bills. And, there's a lot of things within our industry. If you have a foreclosure, that it not only makes it hard for you to move on with your life, but then I'm like, do I file bankruptcy?
Yeah.
Can I be this trajectory that I plan on going on in the real estate community? I can't have a foreclosure for so long. And like, that's one of the things that I wanted to do was grow within our industry. So it was really hard, and I felt very alone. I was extremely depressed. Very, very depressed. And then I would just, put my makeup on and go and pretend like everything was fine. And wasn't really focusing on anything else mentally I could handle besides that situation was just eating me. Is he gonna like be outside when I walk out of the office? Following me into restaurants, like things like that, where I didn't even want to be in Fort Collins area at all, ever, because I was scared. Yeah. So luckily, he ended up calling me when it was like, I think it was a month and a half before the foreclosure date. Cause I told him, I was like, at this point, it is what it is. And like, if this is like the price that I have to pay to get out of the situation, then that's what I'm going to do. And so he called me and he's like, you can list it. So I went in to go look at it. I hadn't seen the house in 4 years. And I mean, he locked every door. I couldn't get into the bathrooms. And I'm like, here's what I'm going to price it, but I haven't seen it. So like, little things like that where it's just like, this makes
Really?
no sense. Like, yeah. My friends ended up, because I'm like, I don't trust that he would move out in time. So my friends came to help me move all of his stuff into a storage unit so that I could make sure that like the house was clear and ready to go. And so I was so grateful that we were able to sell the home. And again, proceeds wise, what I got out of it was my peace of mind. And the instant that I was able to leave that toxic situation and like literally be done with it, actually done with it, was such a free, like I didn't realize how much it was eating me alive emotionally and mentally. And like that I was, so I was so depressed. I mean, when I tell you, I had thought a couple of times about like, should I take my own life? And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to succumb to that. But it really got that bad that I was like, I don't know how to do this anymore. And like, continue to live and continue to like, be better or do better or put myself into where I want to be. Like, I could not see that. And I am so grateful every day that I wake up. I kept going, and sometimes all you can do is wake up the next day. Even if you have a shower cry, which I'm a huge believer in shower cries. I think shower cries are the best cries ever. And if you can try that, it's great. Shower cry and a nap is like, it'll fix so many things.
Yeah, naps will fix everything. I'm all for that. So Heather, can I ask you, so, I mean, you were at that place where, you were considering taking your own life, like that, not many people can push through that. So were there things that you did that you were was it just one more day? Is it just one more day? Like what, I know you were doing affirmations, but people I'm sure listening have been in those spaces and they need to hear, like, how did you get through that?
Yes. I felt very alone.
Yeah.
Very alone. And things like right when it's like, I feel like I don't want to waste people's time with my problems, or like if I was telling them my problems, I felt like they didn't understand it or they didn't understand the gravity of it. And I think that what gets you, that demon, whether you believe in the universe or God or whoever you believe in, but right, that negative entity is always going to be there no matter how good or how bad your life is. And I think I just kept saying to myself, one thing was I have been on, unfortunately on that side of my friend when he took his life, on how that felt for us when we didn't see it coming, and the ripple effect that would leave on my family and my friends. Yeah. And so that kind of put me back into perspective, because what people also don't understand is when you're in that deep, dark depression and having PTSD, from my childhood abuse, which a lot of people don't know, is one of my favorite books in the world is Boy Who's Raised as a Dog by Bruce D. Perry. I highly recommend everyone read that. But Bruce D. Perry was the first person in the world to diagnose children who had suffered abuse in a domestic violence situation growing up. Their brain in an MRI lights up the same way as a soldier who's seen battle. So we're not right. Like there's things that we're like, well, here's ADHD medicine. It's like you literally have PTSD and you have to work through yourself with that. So it's very easy. Your brain starts flipping and it starts creating irrational decisions for you. And you get in this fight or flight mode and it increases the depression. So people think like, I don't know how they did that. And it's like, they weren't even themselves. They're mentally, there's so many different chemical imbalances going on in the brain when you're so depressed and you're suffering from things like PTSD or trauma that interfere with how you could even rationalize it. So I kept really just trying to find my center and find my place of like, I know that I feel like this is the end all be all and it's so terrible, but like there is, like you said, tomorrow is another day. And so just trying to continue to be who I was and work with things that really brought me joy in the moments that I could, and find joy in as many little things as possible. Whether that was like my favorite cup of coffee, and sometimes it has to be that small. Sometimes it really has to be that small. Or like, you know what? I can't imagine my dog having to go stay with somebody else. I can't, the sun is shining. It's another day that I'm breathing. You know what? I have all of these other terrible things going on, but I have a car. You know how many people would love I have a career. You know how many people would love to be doing what I'm doing and don't and won't and will never will. Yeah. I have these things that there are so many people everywhere that can't say that they have those. So it was really, truly just finding my center. And sometimes it was just as little as, I have to get up tomorrow. I don't have a choice. I have to keep going. Yeah. And sometimes it was big. And, I reached out for help when I felt like it. I think I should have reached out for more, to be honest with you. And I think a lot of the times is we silence and suffer in silence so much that we get used to it, or we feel like we're seeking attention, people don't understand. And so for somebody too, I would say, if you're listening and you have somebody come to you in those situations, is active listening is so important. Mm-hmm. And you don't need to relate to somebody. There's nothing that you could have told me to make me feel better, right? Like you don't have to have the perfect words. You don't have to know what to do, what to say, what resource to give them. Sometimes you just being like, I'm so sorry, that really sucks. I'm so sorry, but I love you and I'm glad that you're still here. Yeah. Is all somebody needs to hear. Is okay. I heard you and I'm so sorry, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Like you don't always have to have a big explanation on solving it. You don't have to solve anything or fix anything when someone comes to talk to you. Yeah. Which is big. And so I had a person who was very good at just letting me talk and not trying to fix it. And I think that was super helpful.
I love that. And it sounds like a lot of what you did was you found gratitude, gratitude in the cup of coffee, gratitude in your dog, gratitude in just those little moments. And sometimes the gratitude, if you feel gratitude, you can't feel fear and depression. So it sounds like you leaned into that a bit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Heather, I will have to say, like, I'm going to put you in the love seat. I mean, you're already there because you're a guest on the show. So I think this is the piece of it. Just looking at our friendship over the last couple of years, I think the big piece is you talk about like finding people that will just listen and not try to fix it. And you and I connected. I didn't know at the time that it was about this and where you were and what was going on in life. You were like, hey, I'd love to chat with you about some things. And I was like, okay, let's talk. And then you kind of shared what was happening in life. And I'll have to say, like, from your community, like your tribe side, hearing you share what was going on in your life. First of all, thank you for trusting me to share that with me, because I know that was a big deal for you. And I had to, in that moment, it was like, okay, wait, first of all, does not compute, right? Because I knew this highly ambitious, highly successful leader that people were looking to, that you were pouring into, that you were providing value to every single day. And so as you were sharing this, I was like, okay, well, let me erase that, right? Because I had this preconceived understanding of who you were and where you were in life, and you shared, you're like, here's what's going on. And then it was, okay, but enough of that. Here's what I need to know, though. What does it look like in the future?
Wow.
You're like, and enough. Yes, exactly. And I think it goes back to you like sharing, like you're not going to be defined by the things that are happening to you in life, right? Like this is just something that has happened along the way in your journey. And you were very much like, no, I understand and I acknowledge where I am. I need an action plan. And I also need to know how it's going to impact the future, my future. Like, what does this look like? Like, talk to me about that part of it. And I think it's so important, like, as you're talking about the people that you talk to, and this is for the supporters out there, you don't have to be everything. Like, it may just be a one-off conversation, it may just be a cup of coffee, or you may be that person that someone needs to talk to every day, right? Just like checking in on them every day. Just, did you have your cup of coffee? Did you go on your gratitude walk? Did you get to spend time loving on your dogs? Like, the pets are the best things, right? And so it's just a matter of understanding you don't have to be everything. And sometimes, like you said, you don't even have to say anything. Like, just being there, and being available, can go a long, long way for folks.
Yeah. I think that is too a testament to nobody has any idea what somebody else is going through. And we get and I think there's this shame in admitting that we've got stuff going on, that our lives aren't perfect. So we want everybody to think that we've got this perfect life. And if we say that everything's falling apart, like behind the scenes, but I'm going to show up, because there's this shame behind it, I think. And so I think it's just,
There's that image that's going around on social media right now that's the picture of the park, and there's like a little, I think it's like James Clear or James Quick or one of those, authors. It's like a best-selling author that created this image of all of these people. Like, just think of a big massive park, and there are people on bikes and rollerblading and sitting and reading, and every person is labeled with what's happening in their lives, right? Like, contemplating, like, navigating through a divorce, or their children are graduating, or contemplating taking their own lives, like trying to figure it all out. And that, I think, is like the most powerful image that I've seen in such a long time, because it is like, you may be in a space of 100 people, and all 100 of them guaranteed has something going on, something.
And I think that, to me, what has come out of this podcast over the last 3 years, however long we've been doing it, is everyone has a story. And everyone has a story that's worth hearing. And somebody needs to hear it. And so it's made me so much more empathetic about when somebody cuts me off or is a little snippy with me in a line. I just kind of smile and I'm like, I have no idea what they have going on at home or at work or in a relationship or whatever that is. And so it's about the giving grace to everybody. Yeah.
I love that. You put such an eloquent twist on it, Pam. I still keep my motto whenever people are like that or they're frantic or in a rush. I'm always like, oh my gosh, they've got explosive diarrhea. They've got to get out of here. So
Well,
it's
that's
like,
way more funny.
That way you can laugh at them as they cut you in line. You're like, that's fine. You're about
yes,
you gotta go.
I'm like, you go right ahead. You have it. That's you go.
Well, and it's interesting because I just saw a social media video and I forget the premise to it was there's an intersection that he keeps going back to and he goes, this intersection means something because somebody cut me off and I ended up being late by seconds. And if I had been at this intersection seconds earlier, I would have been in this fatal car accident. And so sometimes people cut in line in front of us. Sometimes we get behind that driver that's maybe forgotten how to drive and is driving a little bit slower when we're in a hurry. And sometimes it's just like, I'm supposed to be right here, right now.
Yes.
And whatever the universe is doing right now, I'm not supposed to be getting somewhere faster than I'm going to get there. And so I think there's a little bit of that going on too. So
100%. 100%. I love that.
Mm.
Well, Heather, you've gone through the experiences, you've gone through the introspective work, and then you've had the little reminder lessons to test you, right? Because that's what to test the resiliency of it all, right? Because it's like, oh, you've healed that. That's great. How about in this situation or with this relationship? How does that look? But you're also working with other people. Like, you tell us about the work that you're doing now, because it's a powerful organization with a very big lift in terms of their mission and what they're doing in the community. Tell us a little bit about your philanthropic work.
Yes. So I actually started this really getting into, so it's SAVA, which is the Sexual Assault Victim Advocacy Center. And we help in both Weld and Larimer counties. So one of the things that we do is offer any type of service to any survivor, whatever they want to do in terms of reporting. So there's no requirement for them to report, but we offer free therapies from the age of 3 and up. We offer support, whether it's, hey, do you want us to go with you when you have your SANE exam? Do you want us to be in the room with you when you talk to a police officer? Do you need any type of help or, moving out of a place because that's where, you were assaulted, whatever that looks like. And then one of the things that I really, really, really love about SAVA is the preventative work. So we're in a lot of schools around Weld and Larimer County. We're really trying to get into Weld more. But we're doing things at age appropriate levels. So like in the summer, we have a camp that we do about an hour into like YMCAs, where we just talk about like body autonomy, body positivity, right and wrong, little things like that. We have our Peer Start program where our students in high school go and teach other students in high school about preventative measures. And we've had students who come and have said like, hey, this happened to me and now I feel comfortable talking about it. What can I do? Another thing that I really love about our program that you don't always think about is we have a whole division for our special needs community. So the way that they process and understand and learn, and even the things that they need to understand and like how they interact with other people is a totally different mindset than where we would have in like a traditional schooling setting. So there's a lot of amazing, whether it's preventative or, after care, things that we do. When I was talking about earlier on that ripple effect for your family, sometimes families don't understand how to handle that situation either. So we also offer therapies strictly for family members, for these survivors to deal with, how do they interact with this person now? What are things that maybe they're saying that aren't so PC and they think that they're being helpful, but they're not. And then also that active listening piece of you don't have to fix it. You don't have to feel like you have to say the right things. So I started in this back in 2021. I went home, and I usually only go home for weddings and funerals. So I went back home, and my dad, his wife died. and he had massive surgery. So he got hit by a car, and he had his bicep tendon and his shoulder cuff replaced. Came home from that surgery, and his wife dropped dead of a heart attack. Wow. So he calls me up and he's like, "Can you come home and help me?" And I was like, "Of course, Dad. Like, I'll come home and help you. No worries." So I went home, and it was like the last day that I was there, where I helped him set up the funeral. I was taking him to his doctor's appointments, physical therapy, and all of that. And we're going to dinner, and I get a call at night, and I keep getting this. It's like the same number, and I'm like, I don't know who this is. It's a Chicago number, but I'm not going to answer. So it calls me again, and I'm like, okay, hello. So it was DCFS, it was Illinois, the Department of Child and Family Services, and my two nieces, who were 5 and 8 at the time, were in custody, and they were being sexually abused by a family member in their mother's home. And so they were like, "You are the only one who can take them. You're the only one in the state at this time who would be able to like pass a background check, be able to get the kids, or else we're going to have to go into split foster care." And so I was like, "You know that I live in Colorado?" And they said, "Yep." And I was like, "Okay, well, all right, let me go get them." So I ended up taking in my two nieces, and just due to everything, I had to stay in Chicago for a couple months in order to go through the process and get them with their dad, which was who I wanted them to go with. So, working through the system and seeing when they came to check the house, they never asked for my ID. Like, I could have been anybody that just said, "Hey." They didn't check the fridge to see if we had food. They didn't see if we had running water or hot water. When I asked where they didn't have book bags, they didn't have underwear, they didn't have toothbrushes. When I asked, what school do they go to? "I don't know, I'm not their social worker. They'll have to contact you and tell you." Where do I go to court? Who do I contact? They'll reach out to you. Just sign here. Just sign here. There was a lot of things that were heartbreaking and devastating during that time. And I think that had we had Sava and something like Sava to help me with, navigating what the girls needed to heal, in therapy for them and access and resources for them. Because I had not seen my niece prior to that since she was 5, and my other niece was, a baby. So they might have as well had been with a stranger. So had I not cared and advocated, DCFS never filed their paperwork, so they were actually lost in the system. And no one ever came back to the home to check on them. No one ever returned my phone call. I have logs of all this. I was reaching out to legislation in Illinois. In that year, there were over 190 children who had DCFS reports, and all of those 190 children passed in the home that they had the reports on in Illinois. That's statewide. And these are things where, I was working with their lawyer. They had a guardian ad litem that was on the case, and her and I and the judge together made the plan and, did all of these things. I figured out what school they were in. We went to Walmart, and I was like, "Whatever you guys want." So we got, new clothes, toothbrushes, and, hairbrushes and fun shampoo and all of these things, and tried to keep their life normal. But when you don't have anyone and you've never been through the system, and even as a child, going through the system is very different than being an adult. But this is where you don't really grasp the situation that this happens to children all across of our nation every single day. But not all of them get picked up by people who would advocate for them. Yeah. And that was my big thing, was what would have happened had they went to a home where they weren't, they weren't going to go buy them underwear. They weren't going to make sure that they went to school. And, you hear stories about how it ends up sometimes being even the same environment, if not worse than the environment they were taken from. So I think places like Sava that advocate for the family as a whole, and even giving people like me somewhere to go so that I could get help on how do I deal with this, or how do I help them deal with this, is so important. And that was just a huge piece that, we didn't have. And I just kind of had to, again, figure it out as we went, and just made sure that no matter what, they were advocated for, and they were eating, and they, had showers, and they were loved, and they were loved, and they were loved, and they were loved when they were with me. So that no matter what happens in the future, is that they'll always know that, like, Auntie had at that moment in time when they were with me, that Auntie Heather loved them and they were safe. And that's all that that I could wish. So that's really how, with Sava, where that heart for me came through, was because it was just when you deal with that head on and you don't know, your whole world gets ripped upside down. So I think a little part of that too, I could really feel, how my mom felt in that moment of like, because when trauma happens, I think the most unfair thing is the world doesn't stop turning.
No.
People still go to work, the sun still comes up, stoplights still run, kids got to go to school, you got to brush your teeth. The world doesn't stop for you in your trauma. So you have to decide, how do I navigate through the trauma to get to bigger and better places, or to be a better person for, or to help this person through whatever this looks like. And the world's not going to stop for you. So you have to figure it out, or you've got to give up. And that wasn't an option for me. Yeah. So, it's been an amazing experience. I'm very, very in love with the community that I've built with Sava. We have an amazing CEO that runs it, wonderful staff, amazing volunteers. And if that's something anyone's interested, again, it is a very taboo subject. And that was a lot of what we're going to talk about today is, not everybody wants to talk about this, but we have to, because it happens every single day, and it happens to the rich, and it happens to the poor, and it happens to everyone of every ethnicity, and it happens to everyone of any sexual orientation, of any belief system, of what it happens. And so the less that we feel scared to acknowledge it or look it in the face, I think that we'll just create a better community for each other, because we can all be there and be active listeners, or be there and be advocates. I'm very happy with the work that they're doing, and it hits home for me. But it's amazing. So I can't say enough of it. We'd love more volunteers, and we would love, obviously donations are amazing. We've got our gala that happens in October. That's phenomenal. Come out. It's so beautiful. We have such a good time. We've got great food, great music, and then some really cool raffle or drawing. Like what's the term? What drawings?
Yes, drawings, not raffles.
And an actual auction. I think that's what I meant to say.
That's it. Yes.
Second, we have our Sava Summit, and so we actually have an Epstein survivor that is going to be coming and speaking. So we have virtual tickets available for that, and then a lot of just really cool events that we've got some breweries that are doing give back days. And really, we're just here for the community. So as much support as we can get in the community, we'd love to have it.
I love it, Heather. Thank you for sharing that. So Sava, looking for volunteers, time, talent, treasure, whatever it is that you want to give to support Sava. The website, what is the website for Sava, Heather? Is it sava.org or?
Yes, savacenter.org. And then it should take you to our NOCO and Weld ones are on the same website. So you guys check that out. Obviously, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me, and I will be happy to direct you.
Wow, thank you for what you're doing. Yeah, and incredible.
It's amazing. It is amazing. I was first introduced to Sava when my daughter was in high school, and she was one of those peer-to-peer volunteers with Sava. And at first I was a little hesitant. I was like, what are you doing? And I got nervous, and then saw the impact of the work. And I was like, yep, absolutely. I'm sold. I get it. I understand that there's a need. And so time, talent, treasure, whatever you can give. If you can give by volunteering, if you can give your financial resources, if you can donate, if you can support, if you want to serve on the board, if you want to just volunteer to help events, if you own a business and want to, we'll take it all. Absolutely. I love it. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Heather, this has been amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for continuing to help others and continuing to serve those around you. Is there anything that you'd like to leave our listeners with that we haven't touched on so far today?
Just really, I think, know that you're never alone. No matter how alone you feel, I promise you, you are not alone. And sometimes you just have to find the little things. Find the joy in the littlest tiny thing and keep going, because I promise you that you 5 years from now, you 3 years from now, you 10 years from now, you're going to look back on this moment and say, wow, I'm so glad I made it through.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love that. Exactly. Thank you. You are not alone in any of this. That's a great, gentle reminder. Thank you, thank you, thank you for taking the time out to connect with us. Oh, and I guess we should say, if you have any real estate needs in Northern Colorado, you can also reach out to Heather. She's also a realtor. We didn't talk about that piece of it.
I do that too, whatever.
I did.
But we will make sure that we put your contact information and the Sava Center information in our show notes as well, so that folks can get connected, plugged in, give back, and donate and support Sava if they are called to do so. But we want to thank you for taking the time out to pour into our listeners and being a part of our community. So thank you, Heather.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. This was such an amazing podcast, and I'm so appreciative of both of you for having me. Thank you.
It was our honor.
And absolutely. Feeling is mutual. And for our listeners, head on over to YouTube and watch the video. You all can see this episode is taking place from a hotel room for me because I'm on the road, but head on over to YouTube and watch the video, and listen to us on your favorite streaming platform. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We'd love to connect with all of you. Until next time, we will see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on the Reignite Resilience podcast. We hope you had some aha moments and learned a few new real-life ideas to fuel the flames of passion. Please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, like or download your favorite episodes, and of course, share with your friends and family. We look forward to seeing you again next time on Reignite Resilience.